Welcome, everybody, to the Tea with Ms McGill Show. Start out with our followers like we always do. A few new followers this week. Big thanks to Eric Rhiannon, Mark Stupar, and Tim Pauline. So be just like them. Hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. As a matter of fact, on Facebook, we talked about it last week. We're like 195 on Facebook alone. We said, who's going to be the 200th follower? We're still not there. We're at 199. So the next person to like, we're going to see it. And you're going to shout out next week. So we're looking for that. Yep. Boom. We're looking for that 200th follower. It is episode 55. It is Puka speaking. It is the star of the show, Reed Larson. How's Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day was just the same as it is every single year for me. My wife would say, what are you talking about? Valentine's Day, you had a hockey game. Or
there you go.
Same thing she'd have said the week before. Or the year before, I should say, when it's our anniversary it's February 5th. Oh, what did you do for your anniversary?
Geez.
Hockey.
You stack them up.
Hey, yeah, it's hockey season. My wife married a hockey coach. She knows that, but we had a nice little chat when we got home last night and talked about our day, and still my forever Valentine.
Oh, how sweet. Awesome. Well, I kind of did the same thing. I did the flower thing, did the dinner thing, snuggling. And that was just with Ms. McGill. Then I went home with my wife,
Yes, sir.
So that was, a full night, full night.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, we get cranking here. We're going to start tonight with our Section 7 AA update, presented by our friends over at Aspire Heating and Control. Temps are going to drop again. Last week was spring. This next week's looking like winter again. So Aspire is your local Bryant dealer, and Bryant is the official heating and cooling company of your Minnesota Wild, specializing in gas, electric, and hydronic heating and cooling systems for residential and commercial. Forced air systems, boilers, heat pumps, mini splits. This is, obviously for new construction and stuff. And but if you're just having furnace troubles in the meantime, we talked about that at the new year, change your furnace filters. Probably get to be that time to check it again. But if you have any trouble with your furnace, these are guys you get a hold of. They are licensed and bonded. Give Justin a call, 218-999-5957. Once again, Justin at Aspire Heating and Control, 999-5957.
It's too bad that my brother was all the way over in Nisswa and Justin's over in this end of the neck of the woods. My brother was calling me complaining that something was going wrong with his furnace over there, and he had people looking at it and his temperatures were dropping to like 48 degrees, and I'm like, oh. And I just thought about Aspire Heating and Control. So.
Oh, geez, that's bad. I guess 48 start worrying.
Yeah.
Get down to 30s and pipes start freezing.
Yep.
All right. So the 7 AA update, Thunderhawks, up against a tough couple of teams here this past week.
Yeah, it's been a tough second half of the year, Puka. It's we had a juggernaut of a team come in on Saturday afternoon in Benilde St. Margaret. There's at least 5, maybe 6 future Division I players on that team. Stewart was unbelievable. The guy can get up the rink fast. They're number 10. They came out of the gates right at the beginning of the game. Within the first couple of minutes, to get a power play, bang, it's in the back of our net. There was 1-0. Shortly after, they take a penalty. We're on the power play, and we get caught a little lackluster there for just a couple seconds with a bad reverse behind our net when we're trying to break the puck out on our power play. Boom, they pick up that, throw it in front of the net, shorthanded goal. They're up 2-0.
Yep.
Just a couple other things went wrong about I'd say probably the first 8 minutes of the game was just can't get anything going. Coach Chido calls a timeout after bing, they score 2 more. It's 4-0
in the first.
Calls a timeout, regroup, take a deep breath. Bang, we score one. Shortly after, it's 4-1. Just before you go into the second period, bang, we score another one. It's 4-2. So we come back out the third period, bang, we score, or second period, bang, we score a third one. Now it's 4-3, and we got a game. We basically, after that first 8 minutes where we're down 4-0, we win the game after that 3-1 against a really, really high end team. So, not a whole lot of things went right in that first 8 minutes, but the last portion of the rest of the game was a quality game. They did score on a power play again to go up 5-3 on us and kind of, put the proverbial nail in the coffin to end the game. But it was a really good effort by our squad, and proud of the effort and proud of the comeback.
Right. It could have been ugly
that the guys had in them, and a really good situation. And a call on the bench there to be able to say timeout, let's regroup, let's talk about it, let's go, just keep going.
Sure.
And the guys picked it up. It was a solid effort. Nobody likes the L. We talked about that a lot. It's the loss we're not happy about, but we're happy about the effort and the fight. And you're going to need that fight going into the playoffs.
Absolutely. Okay. And then on the road last night, didn't get any easier.
No, it really did not get any easier for us on the road. We had to go to the 2022 state champion single A of Hermantown. That's a high-end team. Again, they're at the pace of anybody that in the state, including both double A and single A. They're at the pace and the skill level of any team that I can think of. And we just kind of had an interesting first period. They scored on us. It was a tight game in the first period. It was a 1-0 game. They scored on the power play. We were grinding. We were going. The rest of the game, we literally made 3 total mistakes the rest of the game, and all 3 of them ended up in the back of our net. But we were grinding. We were going. The speed was there. The tempo was there. We outshot Hermantown 26-24 or 26-24. And it was really kind of refreshing at the end of the game. And again, this is just kind of that little patronizing pat on the back that you get, but no pun intended from Coach Pat. Andrew is just saying, you guys are going to be scary to play in the playoffs. Like, we're glad we don't have to play in the playoffs, because there's teams that might look at your record, might look at the fact that you dumped some games here the last half of the year and you ended the season 12-12-1. They might be looking past you thinking, oh, it's going to be an easy go here going through the playoffs, and you're going to creep up on people and scare somebody. I'd be afraid to play you guys. One thing that can happen with Grand Rapids, a hot goalie, guys playing tough and rough and tumble, just a hardworking team. And all that needs to happen down the stretch is a bounce here or there. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I don't think we've gotten a bounce all year go our way. So you'd think that the tides are going to change here at some point, and maybe now's the time that those tides are going to change. Maybe we're going to get a bounce here. And I really do believe that we got more hockey in us here.
Yeah, well, and you said Miles can steal games.
He can. A good goalie can make it really interesting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, yeah. So end of the regular season for you.
Yeah,
it's that time of year.
Yeah, 12-12-1. It was a 500 record. When you look at our schedule and you see, who we play, there's not a lot of teams that play the schedule that we play. There are a few. Don't get me wrong. I like to see the high-end teams that are down in the cities and how intense their schedules are. But for where we play in an outstate northern Minnesota area, and we make 4 trips down to the cities this year.
Yeah. Basically in a row.
Yeah. Well, 3 of them were in a row, and one of them was over the Edina Classic. So it's like, and we made a trip out to Moorhead. So it's like we're on the road the whole second half of the year, playing all teams that are within the top 10, maybe the top 5 in the state.
Yeah.
So it's a tough schedule. Yeah. And any 500 on that note, when we're on a year where we travel more, all I can say is it's good to get that portion of the season behind us and shift gears into playoffs.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So this is the time that matters anyway. All right, good stuff. Drill the like button there. Move on to the 7A update of the week, brought to you our friends over at the Rink Sports Bar and Grill over in Evelyn. We talked a little bit about them. This week we want to talk about kind of their building and hosting functions. They have the ability to split the building. So if you've got birthday party, you've got an anniversary party, how about your team banquet, whether youth hockey or high school hockey, that's the place you go at the Rink Sports Bar and Grill. They'll get it all set up for you. 248-8582. Give them a call for that. You can order online, breakfast, lunch, dinner, Friday fish fry, open 7 days a week on Hat Trick Avenue in Evelyn, just down from the Hockey Hall of Fame. So it's all hockey themed on Hat Trick Avenue next to the Hockey Hall of Fame. That's the place you need to be, the Rink Sports Bar and Grill.
Just a sand wedge away from the Hockey Hall.
There you go. That's coming too. Golf's coming. It's coming.
Right around the corner.
So book your team banquet there right this week. All right. Cupid's Classic. The fellas down at Go Sports put together a nice hype video. I don't know if you caught that. Dubbing it the Cupid's Classic. So last night, Valentine's night, Iron Trail Motor Event Center in Virginia, Rockridge, Hibbing, facing off. I do want to back to the hype video really quick. I want to special thanks to Jackie Cabino over in Hibbing there for providing us some photos. So appreciate that, Jackie. We know she listens to the show. So thanks so much for that. I did catch that game. Good crowd, like we thought. We knew there'd be a lot of buzz about this game. We've been talking about it a lot. My opinion, Hibbing came out pretty flat, 2-1 after one. And then early in the second period, I wanted to give him a shout out here. Great, Brant Tiedman, a great individual effort, really hustling, poking the puck, gets through some people, puts one past Boyer there. All of a sudden it's 4-1 heading into the third. Kind of looks like feels like the game's over. Rockridge is kind of giving it to him. Like I said, Hibbing came out pretty flat, but then Hibbing pops a couple in the third. Now it's 4-3, makes the game out of it, pulls the goalie. Nothing happens. So Rockridge pulls the 4-3 victory. So of course now we got to talk about seeding. So Hibbing 15-8-1, Rockridge 15-8-1. Seeding meeting, Casey Scholler, you asked one of the fans, seeding meeting is Friday. So Reed, what are you thinking? Arguments for both sides, but because I think the Hibbing argument, well, you go, I'll let you talk. So
honestly, I don't think there's an argument. I mean, Hibbing might think that there's an argument that they had a really good start to the season and have a good record and have beat some teams, but when it comes down to the wire and you're looking at who's going to get the seed over the other person, in this situation, they were both looking at number 2. It's a different story if they're head to head and one of them is looking at getting number 5 and the other one's looking at getting number 2. It's a different story. Now you start looking at some other things, right? You start looking at common opponents. You start looking at their record, their strength of schedule. But when you're that close, you have a very similar schedule that you play.
Yeah.
And one is looking at number 2, the other one's looking at number 2 or 3, right? And you play twice. One of them takes place earlier in the season, and that was a win by Hibbing at Hibbing. The next one, which was yesterday. So who's playing better now is the question. And Rockridge gets the win. Now, obviously, it was a battle. I mean, you can argue that, we were coming back. It just was a bounce here or there. But at any rate, the bottom line is I don't think there's any question. Rockridge is the number 2 seed. That's just the way it is. I hate to burst the bubble of anybody at Hibbing. I guess I did coach in Virginia for 7 years. Okay.
You've been bursting their bubbles for years.
And I heard, well, I'll tell you, they took us down quite a few times too, just to support their cause over there. But I'll tell you, take any kind of heart or feelings that I may have for the Virginia Eveleth area because I coached there. To me, it's just common sense right now. It's the end of the season. They play a similar schedule. The records are the same. They split. Who won the last one?
Yeah. Okay. So the higher ranking at the state level, you don't feel it carries much weight.
You know what?
Well, who knows what? And that's
And
last
who
week.
knows?
We didn't see this week's rankings that we just looked before the show.
Well, the point of the matter is state rankings, they really don't even matter. You got people that are voting on these state rankings that don't even see these teams play. I mean, they're put down in the cities, they're putting in their votes, they're doing this and that. It doesn't even matter. It really doesn't. Take a look at the people around the area here that watched these games and take a look at the coaches. I don't think there's any question of the coaches. Now, if I'm Coach Rewerts, I'm going to argue it.
Right.
I want my team to be number 2 if I can, but I don't know that there's much of an argument. I think that Ben Johnson and company over there have the number 2 seed. That's just my opinion.
So will this be, I don't know, maybe you don't know, will this be a seating meeting where they come in, or are they just kind of faxing, emailing and doing it that way? Or do they actually go sit in a room?
I don't know what Section 7 currently does. When I was in that section and coaching for Virginia, we actually sat down and talked about it, and then we seated.
Okay.
Now, since things have changed, and I would imagine some things came to change when the COVID season came around, right? Section 7 AA does not meet. All they do is they send out the criteria, and then everybody sends their seeding rankings, excluding yourself. When you seed, you just seed the other teams. So if there's 8 teams in the section total, you drop out what your vote is and seed the other 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what Section 7 had to do as of today. They just put our votes in, right?
Yeah.
And then
7 AA, you mean?
7 AA.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know what 7A currently does. We did used to meet in 7A.
Okay.
I don't know if they're still doing that.
Okay. So can they get kind of tense, or is it?
Yeah, they can get tense, especially if it's face to face.
Yeah, I was just saying.
Yeah, they're getting some arguments going around the room because sometimes let's go around the room and just give a little conversation about your season and why you deserve the seed you think you get, and it goes around the table, and then are there any rebuttals? Yeah, I got a rebuttal. Like so-and-so doesn't, they think they should be ahead of us. So, I mean, there gets to be some arguments.
Yeah.
And it got pretty heated. I think the very first year that I was there was a pretty good, interesting rebuttal back and forth between Virginia being the number 4 seed and Denfeld being the number 5 or vice versa. It's like we ended up getting the 5 and they got the 4, and we were Captain Smalley and I were like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's all good fun in high school sports, and coaches are what they do is they get intense, they battle because they care about their kids.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
It's a long season. Put a lot of effort, a lot of time. I mean, that, a lot invested. So.
Yeah. And ultimately, we're still waiting for these section seedings to be finalized. Yeah, we've seen some out there. And if, by the time we get the show out here tonight, maybe some of them will be published online.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're waiting for. I don't say what the seedings are until I pull up the MSHSL site and I actually physically see the bracket filled out with it, because you can't trust what Twitter. You can go out on Twitter and you can look at, okay, Follow the Puck has something out there right now. Legacy Hockey has something out there right now. I don't know where they're getting their information from, so I'm not going to post what they say it is. I'm going to wait till the State High School League says this is what it is.
Yes. All right. Well, yeah, playoff hockey starting Tuesday next week, so stay tuned. Stay right here. So like I said, you're on to follow. Ms McGill Show will keep you up to breast on everything. All right, real quick, word from our friends over at Agzyme. So this is for you farmers. Planting season is coming. You want to put a little Agzyme right in your current fertilizer package, which will help increase yields. So our friend, made in the USA, give our friend Brad Parsons a call, Minnesota guy, 320-219-3542. 320-219-3542. You farmers, Agzyme. Like I said, it's a mix, goes right into your current spray packages, increase your yields in summer of 2023. All right, interesting story. I know nothing about this. You put this on the agenda. Apparently, Coon Rapids played some games, a bunch of games, unknowingly with an ineligible player. Ouch.
Yeah, so we're just sitting there on the bus ride yesterday, riding over to our game in Hermantown and just getting some scuttlebutt when we're scrolling through Twitter, and we come across something on Twitter that says that there's the Coon Rapids they apparently played an ineligible player. Apparently this happened before January. So they must have not played him after that, but for every game that player actually played in January, they got a forfeit any wins that landed in that area. And from what I see, just in sending text messages back and forth from their head coach and just asking some questions like, well, how many games is this? In fact, it sounded like it was like 5 games or something like that, or 6 games. Yeah. But you feel bad for the kids, right? It's I don't know the details, and I'm not gonna point fingers or place blame, but ultimately they played the games. They did play them with people that were in there. That apparently there was one person that was ineligible in there, and then the rest of the season that person didn't end up playing, so ineligible to play varsity sports. Like I said, you feel bad for the kids. They played the games and they did win some of those games ultimately. So, do you have to go back and look at points? Do you have to go back and look at wins, losses? Do you look at the head to head? Well, if that person was in the game and they beat somebody in the section, do you still count that a loss? Or I don't even know what you do in a seeding situation. In my opinion, I guess sometimes you just say, right now at this portion in the season, the games that they've won from there on out, where are they sitting? You know, and I guess that could be a personal opinion too. I don't even know. I guess I wouldn't know. We didn't really have a whole lot of a conversation about that with the guys in our room when it comes to that. I just know that there are other teams that are looking at it, and I don't know how much it affects where they're going to land anyways, to be honest with you.
How is that mostly monitored? Is that the AD communicating with the coach, or is it kind of on the coach to hear from the players? And I mean, how does
that's a tough one.
Yeah, and all the high school sports. I mean, now that you're talking about, it's like kind of think that maybe it would happen a lot. You know what I mean? Because if I was a player, I guess I wouldn't want to say anything.
Well, here's the thing: is I hate to be pointing fingers at anybody, because it's an honest mistake by somebody. It's like you could overlook a piece of paper or not see it, and then come the first game of the year, second game of the year, you just overlooked it, and they played 1 or 2 games. They played 5 or 6 games. It's like somebody must have recognized something at that point in time, because the kid didn't play again after that. So I don't know exactly what happened ultimately. And this is just coming from the voice of ADs, that ultimately the eligibility issue lands on the activities office.
Okay.
And it could have been a clerical error. It could have been they overlooked something or this or that. But, the key to this is the communication between coaches and kids and families, and athletic director and this and that. And, you know, lessons learned for anybody. I hope nobody gets slapped on the wrist too hard for this. It's enough that the kids are going to get affected by it. And it hurts my heart that the kids are affected by that. But it may not affect their seeding anyways. I honestly, I haven't seen Coon Rapids play this year, so I don't know. I just know they've beat some teams, and they're a scary team that if somebody meets them in the playoffs, they could be scary at a certain point in time. So I don't know how that sits. Like I said, it hurts my heart because it affects kids, and I just hope nobody ends up getting slapped on the hand too hard over something like this. You like to see people get second chances to prove themselves and this and that. And I don't want anybody to lose a job or anything.
Oh yeah.
Silly like
so
that.
Like you said, yeah, it could be a clerical error. It could be something as simple as that. So,
yep.
You know, you had the email read, or hit send, thought you hit send, you didn't hit send. It's been sitting in your drafts for 2 months.
Yeah. You just,
I mean, I've done that where,
I guess the biggest lesson learned for any coach or any athletic director is if somebody is playing and they didn't play on last year's team, or they're coming in, or they just moved, double check, triple check, whatever you have to, regardless if they were in a sport last year or moved from school to school, or whatever the situation is. If it's a transfer situation, you have to really look at everything. Otherwise it can sting.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the previews this week, presented by our friends over at Iron Range Apparel. So we're talking about high school playoffs. Right after high school playoffs, no, we start youth hockey playoffs. You want to look cool at the rink, so you want to get your ODR swag. Iron Range Apparel, Thunderbird balls, the only place you can get it. I was over in Virginia the other day, saw a young fella wearing one of the ODR like Team USA jerseys. You know, they're pretty darn cool. So kind of like the red, white, and blue right back there. So jerseys, hoodies, baseball caps, winter caps, everything ODR is there. Plus I call it the gift buyer's paradise. There's something for everybody. If you're late on a Valentine's gift, you worked midnights or something, get over to Iron Range Apparel at Thunderbird Mall and make that special Mrs. somebody, your significant other, very happy. All right. I'm going to preview, take a little bit different turn here. So the GRG Lightning, Grand Rapids Greenway, tomorrow night facing off against number 3 ranked Andover for all the marbles to go to the state tournament. You know, obviously a great opportunity. What do you got there?
All the marbles.
They're
going to meet over at Proctor at the St. Luke's Arena. This was the neutral site that they chose, had these two teams ended up. If Grand Rapids Greenway, if GRG had lost and it would have ended up being Blaine and Andover, then I think it would have been a different site.
Yeah.
So kind of a decent hour-long trip away for the GRG ladies, and a little bit longer trip for Andover, which isn't half bad. But here's the deal. That's an extra game, ladies. You're getting a chance to play in a game that, and if I'm being honest with you, there aren't a whole lot of people that expected you to be in this game, except of course you guys, your families and your coaches, and the people that care about you and know you. They always expect you to have success, but there's a lot of people in the state that this is over. They're going to go down to Blaine, and Blaine's going to take them out there. Blaine was expected to win that game. It was at Fogarty Arena. And they're supposed to win by a goal or two. And guess what? GRG Lightning ladies come out of that game with a 3-0 win, which is solid. But there's a few things that play into that. These playoff games are a big deal. They played their playoff game here at the IRA Civic Center in Grand Rapids on Thursday. And conversations with the coaching staff. I have coffee with those guys every morning, and it wasn't the greatest performance by GRG. They could have played better. And they knew that coming out of there, they could have had a better performance. I sat and watched that game Thursday night. I was excited to see them win, but you could see the frustration that we got more than that. And at the same time, game going on down in Blaine against Anoka in Blaine. Anoka's playing Blaine, and Anoka's goaltender, assistant captain of their team, faced 91 shots that night. Okay. I think the game went into 9 periods.
That's what I heard, yes.
That is a lot of hockey in a short period of time. So you can imagine that when a game continues to go into overtime after overtime and when you get into the playoffs, After the third period, your first overtime is an 8-minute overtime period on the same ice you played the third period on. After the 8-minute, then they clean the ice and you go to a 17-minute.
Yeah.
Then it's 8-minute. Then it's clean the ice 17-minute. So they did that how many times before they got to the 9th period, right?
Can you imagine being a parent? I got to work in the morning. It's 2 a.m.
Well, and there's controversy too. So the GRG girls had flipped it on. I don't know if they were watching it on Live Barn or Spidio or whatever they had it on. They flipped it on and they were watching it in the locker room after their game. And from the sounds of it, our GRG girls come running out in the lobby telling their parents that, oh my gosh, Anoka scored. It was in the first overtime. They waved it off. So it's something, I don't know what the reasoning for waving that off, but Anoka apparently had a goal called back. Game continues. And Blaine wins it after 9 periods and 91 shots on that goaltender and 89 saves.
She should be featured on ESPN.
Oh my gosh, what a night for her. But yeah, so now you got that sets the table for going in. The GRG ladies were not expected to be in the position that they're in right now. They weren't expected to win the last game. Now they're going to go into a game that they're certainly not expected to win against Andover. Ladies, you have absolutely no pressure on you. Right. You can go out, play your game, have fun, and maybe you sneak up on somebody just like you did on Saturday. Like, sure. Why not? I mean, there's when you got players like they've got on their team, like Mercury Bischoff and company.
Jazzy Bischoff, Jazzy's name was called a lot. That's my fact, the radio guy kept saying, because Sheldon did your game. I don't know who it was down there, but said, boy, Jazzy Bischoff's having a heck of a game tonight.
Well, and Riley Toivonen playing in the nets. She's been lights out. She was lights out, made some big saves in that first game and against Forest Lake that I watched. And when you get a goalie that's hot, you get somebody that can bury pucks when they need to, like Mercury Bischoff. I'll tell you what, good luck to you ladies. And I hope that you can sneak up on Andover and find yourself in a state tournament. That would just be an absolute gas for me. I'd be so excited. Awesome. They got a piece of my heart.
Yeah.
GRG Lightning ladies.
Well, yeah, you were on the staff.
Yes, I was.
Yeah,
yep.
That's right. Yes. Yes. All right. Good luck, ladies. Best wishes. All right. Some scores and more from the week that was. Let's stay on the girls just for a minute, or women's, I guess you'd say. But I just caught a headline somewhere online over the weekend, but a record crowd for the Lady Gophers at Ritter Arena over the weekend. So that was good to see. Packed house there for the Lady Gophers. Keep it rolling. Quick shout out, I found out over the weekend also from Coach Terrell, Will Troutline, who we interviewed this summer. If you want to see Will's interview, I think it was like in July, go to Facebook, YouTube. Even the podcast go back to like July, but has been out with a broken arm down in Janesville. So he's been out most of the year. So Will, we're going to give you a shout out. Best wishes. Hope you make it back here. All right, some scores. Bemidji's. Excuse me. Well, Bemidji had 2 games. Bemidji last night skated to a 4-4 tie versus Brainerd. Warroad dumps Bemidji last week, 8-0. I thought it was going to be a close game. I almost went to the Warroad's not going to go undefeated. You said, I don't even think it's going to be close. You were correct. 8-0. So Warroad keeps it perfect at 24-0. Ely down by Mora 5-3. Roseau shut out by Moorhead 3-0. Denfeld over Duluth Marshall 3-2. Greenway down by Park Rapids 4-1. Proctor 6-1 winners over Moose Lake. International Falls Betters North Shore 4-1. Duluth East over St. Cloud 7-1. Cloquet 4-2 over Elk River. Now that's the T 15-8. That's my, if I'm not saying they are, but if there's a little upset maybe in the first round, that AA, 7AA, I'm kind of going with Cloquet. You know, they play that gritty style. Maybe they get some luck, get some goaltending. But 15-8, not a bad year.
Well, they're going to fall somewhere in that mid-range. Like I said, we don't know exactly where the seedings are, but they're going to fall somewhere. They're not going to be at the bottom. They're not going to be at the very top. They're going to be somewhere in that mid-range, and they could find themselves in a semifinal game and scare somebody.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe a little bit sneaky. So that's kind of my dark horse on the 7A. And of course, the Walleye Scott Edina Hornets update. The Hornets fall to Minnetonka 1-0 on Saturday. Ends their 6-game win streak. Yep, ends their 6-game win streak. So they're sitting at 15-4-1.
I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, number
Edina lost.
Edina lost to Tonka. Second loss to Tonka this year. That's 2 of their 5. Remember they lost those 3 early ones. Grove, who was it early? Grove.
I'm gonna
Grove, Moorhead, and
I feel tears coming on.
I'm
so sad that Edina lost.
Walleye, we feel bad for you, but yeah, so 1-0 loss. But as of last week, hanging on to that number 2 ranking in 7AA. All right, that's it for episode 55. Anything else, Mr. Larson?
Just a little summary of the past weekend for me. So we talked about that Grand Rapids had the Benilde game, but I wasn't able to be at that game.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I was
Yes,
down
right.
in Superior, Wisconsin at our 21-year reunion of our NCAA Division III National Championship team. And I got to experience two pretty fun nights with 12 other guys and 3 of the coaches that were there. And Friday night there was we went to the game and had a couple of beverages after and visited. We had lunch in the afternoon on Saturday with the current UWS men's team on campus and told some stories and talked to kids. And they had, it's kind of neat setup. They had one alumni from the O2 team sit at each table
yeah,
with
sure.
a group of 3 or 4 of the current kids so we could tell stories.
Yeah.
And they just were eating it up. So it was fun. Then we got to go back to the rink in the afternoon and do a little open skate. And then had a little social before the game with some pizzas in the jacket room there at Westman Arena. And then watched the game again on Saturday night. And then first period intermission, they did a cool tribute at center ice to the 13 of us and 3 coaches that were there and gave us this kind of poster of a collage of pictures and newspaper clippings from back in the time. It was really cool and took a lot of great pictures and an awesome picture that I had the photographer take of me with the trophy again. I had one taken obviously back in 02, but now at age 44, I'm like, I want to hold on to this thing again one more time, and got a chance to do that. And they took a picture with me again, with me at the trophy again. And I thought, awesome. What an awesome weekend. What a great experience. You don't find those championship teams like that very often. And after 21 years, you lose touch with these guys and you come back to Superior and 13 of us get together and it's like we never left.
Yeah, like old times.
It's an absolute blast.
How'd the team do?
Superior
That was a
ended
big
up
weekend for them.
Superior ended up losing both games. They ended up Stevens Point ended up finishing off the regular season at the top of the WIAC. And actually, I think because of the point differential there between who was going to be 2 or 3, Superior actually went down to 3 and someone bumped up ahead of them. So their playoffs are starting this weekend. I don't really know the draw 100% of who they got, but it didn't turn out ridiculously well for their weekend, but we cheered hard for them and we got into the locker room and talked to them before the game and had lunch with them. So we tried.
Yeah, you did everything good. Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, I was in Bemidji this morning and listened to the radio out there. Final weekend for Bemidji Beavers girls hockey this weekend. Next weekend's final weekend for Bemidji men's basketball and Bemidji men's hockey. It's like playoffs are here.
They're here.
And it's just like, and then February, of course, 28 days, short month. Like we're going to be in 10 days, we're going to be in the thick of all kinds of different kinds of playoffs. So,
well, we're going to be talking about the playoffs here and we don't know who's playing what. So when we come back for the show next week, we're going to be talking about probably a first round game that just took place in Section 7 AA and a first round game that just took place in Section 7 Single A. Since we don't have the exact seating right now, we can't really tell you who that is. But when we get back next Wednesday and we talk, we'll say, well, the Section 7 AA matchup was this last night, and here were the results. And the Section 7 Single A matchup was this last night, and we'll talk about the matchups in the sections and where people are going to land for the Saturday contests that take place in the afternoon and morning at Amsoil Arena.
Exactly. Yeah, and we'll try and get when we get the ring, we'll try and get everything up on our Instagram, Facebook. So we'll be checking that stuff up soon as we have.
Well, keep an eye on Instagram here tonight. If they come out, the official things come out. Keep an eye on Instagram and Twitter tonight, and Facebook and Goat Sports Media. Because if we get official, then we'll post them right on there.
Yeah, everything will be up there. Remember, we're on Twitter now. T McGill on Twitter. And for some of you, they asked me about the Instagram. So it's T_Ms _McGill, I believe. We should read it off really quick if you can get it. But so if you can't find it, usually it pops up in the search, but there are some people that couldn't quite find it. So there's a couple of underscores in there. But for Twitter, it's just T McGill. Facebook, YouTube, search Goat Sports Media LLC.
TEA _with
the word with, not just a W.
Ms McGill.
Yeah. So T _with _McGill. McGill.
Ms McGill.
Miss MISS or just MS?
MS. Ms.
Okay. Ms McGill, all one word. So just find us there on Instagram. All right. So like I said, hammer the follow button. We'd appreciate that. Subscribe. Share the show out. We'd appreciate that. Like I said, stay tuned for all the playoff hockey. Merch, as you can see, as always, behind us. We got some tees. You're going to want to look fancy going to the games. You need a tee with Ms McGill shirt. Like I said, we use Cash App, Venmo, all that, PayPal, all that good stuff. Best partners on earth, the Rink Sports Bar and Grill, Iron Range Apparel, Aspire Heating and Control, and Iron Range Goalie Academy. For Reed Larson, it is Puka. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the Tea with Ms. McGill Show.